Gonna be just a little bit, guys. Gotta get the word out. Okay. There we go. Put the drink right there. Good to go, good to go. A little late on the draw there. 6 minutes late to be specific. Alright, what are we doing today? Alright. Just gotta wait for somebody to show up. What do you have your sword out, dude? Gene wants me to translate a thing. Watashi wa Jin ni Akume-sama no Kishouriをします。この正義をMy goodness, I forgot how gorgeous this game looks. and then there were none. Actually, I don't know if having the horse is a good idea. I can just go somewhere where I can't take the horse. Yeah! Yeah! Swim across the way. I think there's some interest. Problem is there's a delay. So if people hop on, I won't notice until a couple minutes after they actually hop on, and by that time, I might not have said anything, and people will leave. Come here, fish. Hey! What's all this then? Oh. Well, hello, good sir. How are you? Welcome, welcome. Or madam, I guess is the case. I don't actually know who you are, but if you want to go ahead, leave a comment. I'm sure you're one of my friends and or family. Let me know who you are down in that comment. And I'll actually get started with the topics for today. Well, so the first thing that I want to talk about, culture. So, this is like a month ago or something, maybe even more than a month ago. I was just browsing through the social media stuffs, and I came across a funny video. Um, there's this guy. He's a politician or some sort. Excuse me. Politician of some sort. I guess he had just some sort of victory. I don't really know the full context of it. But he's a black guy. This black politician guy. I'm pushing the wrong buttons. Black politician guy, and he just had probably won an election or something like that. And he's going through this congratulations thing, and he's going through and shaking hands and thanking the people who helped put him there or whatever. And for some of the people, he just goes up and shakes his hand, you know, thank you, and just a quick courteous type of thing, just a good handshake. And then some of them, mostly the other black guys, he comes up and instead of just giving him a hand, he's like, you know, he gets a little livelier. He smiles and pulls him in for a hug, and it's just so much more energetic and passionate. And you can tell that he considers these guys his people or his friends, his really good friends. And then there are a couple of people, usually overzealous white girls. Who try to do that, who try to give him a hug, and he's just like, no, you need to calm down. This is not okay between us. The joke, though, was that everybody's faces were had a picture of the logo of a Zelda video game of sorts. Like Ocarina of Time was like the #1 most like, yeah, homie, I know you, I love you, you know, type of thing. And then they had like Spirit Tracks was one that you just kind of like shy away from, like, don't talk to me. So it was actually a decently funny video, but it brought up a really interesting. I started thinking about it, right? Now, as people, and especially when we're, you know, we have cultures. That's what people do, is we separate into our cultures. We have our own ideas, motifs, beliefs, and stuff that make certain groups different from other groups. But with humans, we want to be included. We are social creatures. We often want to be included in everything, and sometimes we. How do I dash? It's the dash button. It's the roll. Okay, not that. Oh, there we go. There we go. I figured it out. We want to be included when we see a group of people just in camaraderie and having fun with each other and connecting in ways that we can't. We often look at that and we go, man, I wish I could be that. Which is kind of the case for a lot of these people, you know. They're seeing this dude who's obviously got a much closer connection with some of the people in the room than others. And it's very clear who is part of the in-group, who he considers part of the group, and who he doesn't. And it's very natural to look at that and wish you could be a part of that, but also to be upset if you are not greeted in the same way. And this extends to like all sorts of in-groups and whatnot. Is like for me, for example, I am part of what I would say the fighting game community. We have our own language, we have our own culture, we have our own salutations, we have our own culture, essentially. And to some people, they might look into that and be like, oh man, I wish I could be part of that. But if you're not indoctrinated, if you don't know the culture, you don't know the language, you don't know the jokes, you don't know the context of stuff, you will not be seen as a member of the fighting game community. And that might upset some people. And I totally understand why that would. Because you want to be part of it. And when somebody doesn't treat you on the same way that they treat somebody else, one might end up feeling like they are being treated second rate or second class or what have you. Just not treated the same way that they would be treated by somebody else. And that can be a little jarring, to say the least. However, I honestly do see I see benefits to this kind of in-grouping. I wouldn't say tribalism, because the idea of tribalism is that people are at each other's throats, but I mean, we do have groups of people That's what we do as humans, is we find people who are like us, and we form a group and an identity and all that good stuff. And by definition, we have to exclude some people. That's just the nature of the beast. But it's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, for example, there are people at my work that are not part of my culture. I am a white American male. I've lived in places where the overwhelming population is white and American. And so I would also say I'm part of the nerd culture, so I mean there are a bunch of various cultures that I'm part of, but say somebody like this one guy that I worked with actually doesn't work there anymore. But he's a big, I think he's Samoan, big Polynesian guy, and he is not a nerd. He's not a nerd, he's not white, did not have the same upbringing as me. He comes from a different culture than I do, and I mean even though we like speak English, and we live in the same place, and we do the same job, and we have a basic understanding of how the world works, similar understanding, we are from different cultures. And here's the thing. I mean, I do wish I could be part of a culture, say something like that, that people would accept me like that, in the same vein that they accept each other, but they're never going to. That's the same experience I had in Japan. Like, as an American male, no matter how Japanese I act, no matter how good I get at the language, no matter what I do to learn about the history and culture, I will never ever be considered by Japanese people to be a Japanese person. And for a lot of people that sucks, but for me it's really not an issue. I have my culture. I have my groups that I'm a part of. And I take, I don't want to say pride, but I have a sense of honor and joy and a little bit of pride in the groups that I'm already a part of. Now, so when I'm around people from other cultures, I just stay true to who I am, and I stay true to my culture. I don't try to infringe and try to act like I'm somebody who I'm not. And that will garner respect from people. People don't like it if they sense like you're trying to be something that you're not. You sound insincere. You sound like you're lying and therefore sneaky and therefore you can't be trusted. Whereas, like say with one of my former bosses, right? He was so not a nerd. He's also an American white male, but he's so not a nerd. But he would just see how I kind of just owned my nerdiness, right? Just how I lived up to it, and I just took it and I just ran with it. And he respected that. And he even said as much. He's like, I love how you just own it. And I'm like, yeah, dude, I mean, that's all I can do. I'm not going to pretend to be someone I'm not. That being said, you can't be too solid into your own culture. You do need to learn about others. Like, there's guys at my work who I would consider not part of my in-group and not part of my main culture. I feel like I have as good a relationship as I did with him simply because, well, partly because, I learned in a manner how to speak to them, how to use their words to express my ideas and speak in their language. And I mean, ostensibly we all speak in English, but I mean we use different words, we use different inflections to get different ideas across and things like that. And by learning at least a little bit of how they speak and of how they think, I was able to make connections between my culture and their culture. And by doing that, I was able to at once stay true to myself and who I am and not give off this vibe that I'm trying to be something I'm not, but also be able to speak in a way that they would understand and a way that we can connect and that we can all just get along. So, you know, I guess in short, if you see somebody who is part of a culture and they're having their own cultural camaraderie and you feel outcast, you feel not like you're not included, you feel like, you know, you don't fit in or whatever. Take a step back and think about it. I mean, true, you probably are not being included in that. But is it that big of a deal? I mean, you have your culture. You have things that you are a part of. Be proud of that. And stick with that. Figure out how to communicate with people of different cultures who use different words than you do. But just like, you know, plant your feet in your own identity and be confident about it. And you'll be good to go. You'll gain everybody's respect, but you'll also be able to understand. So, guess that's a little quick thoughts on culture. I don't think anybody's watching. Figured I might as well keep talking until somebody pops up. And this is a new area I've never been to. See what we can find until somebody pops up. Oh, white-tailed lizard. Wait a second. God dang, this game is gorgeous. I suppose my one complaint about it is that, well, the original had a much more yellow, golden, dead grass kind of feel. This one is much more verdant and green and alive, which most people would think would be better, but I like the other aesthetic simply because it feels more like my native Utah. Look at that ocean. I can't find any shinies. Until somebody pops up. God, the lighting on them clouds. What is this tree stump? Check the social media. Well, some folk have seen it. At the very least. Oh, geez, HDMI. Well, I'm gonna go to 30 minutes, and if nobody hops on, I'm gonna get off. Oh, excuse me. This is a rocky outcropping. My horse. Watch, I've been on mute this whole time. Nope, we're good. Gotta be a way up here. Hit, hop, hop. Okay. Do you need that?